Good morning and welcome to GCSC Corporation Catchup. We are back from summer, always a short summer, but joining me in the studio, of course, is our Superintendent Dr. Olin. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Welcome back. Quick summer as always.
Yes.
So first of all, were you able to do anything fun and get away?
I was. We were able to go to South Dakota. I mentioned a little bit of that on our opening day with teachers this year, and it was 3 very quick days, but I was just amazed at the scenery that was in the western portion of South Dakota. So that was definitely a way for me to refill the well, so to speak, to be ready for the school year.
Awesome. I know the school year in central office is actually a very busy time. We've had some personnel changes. Can you take us through some of those key hires, maybe even starting with Weston, and then anything else you think is going to be very crucial to our corporation for the school year?
Certainly the big one on our administration team would be Meg Welch made the decision to take a job in Carmel. We're going to miss her. She's done a great job for us, or did a great job for us in her tenure here. But we're fortunate that we have some people in-house to fill that role, and we were able to move Scott Miller into that role. And Scott's been with us since the mid-90s, so almost 30 years in the corporation. He has filled many teaching roles, been a dean of students, most recently the assistant principal at J.B. Stevens and then Maxwell. So a leader who certainly knows our community, knows the values we have, has really been a part of the goals and helping us reach many of those goals. So to move Scott to that principalship at Weston was really a pretty easy decision for us to make. He has not missed a beat since we've made that announcement, and I feel like the staff would echo what I'm telling you, that it's really been a pretty seamless transition for that leadership team there.
And along those same lines, he's coming in the West, and we'll tie this into 4th grade as well. So how has that adjustment been at that school? We'll talk about the 4th grade later, but jumping into a new school, adding a new grade, what has that been like for Mr. Miller, and how is he adjusting to that?
You know, I'm glad you mentioned that whole topic. It's something that we've really wrestled with for about a year, the idea of moving 4th grade students back to the elementary school, technically retaining our 3rd grade students there for another year. And for a guy who's been in the corporation for over 25 years now, I know that for most of our history, our elementary schools were K-5. So the idea of going back to something closer to that with K-4 is something that we feel really good about in terms of, from a programmatic standpoint, in terms of meeting the needs of the whole child. So we're pretty excited about that opportunity. And the board officially endorsed that decision in our April board meeting after discussing a little bit in the March board meeting. We moved a lot this summer, so we really waited until the last school day was up, and toward the end of May. Those first couple weeks in June, we utilized our maintenance team, our custodial team. We utilized some of our high school clubs who needed service hours, and we made some donations to individual teams for their work. But the physical move of classroom items for our 4th grade teachers from the intermediate school to the 4 elementary schools went very, very smoothly from my perspective. And I do think our 4th grade teachers would also agree with it. I've checked in with many of our 4th grade teachers here over the last 2 weeks as we've started school. I think they have found it to be they have been very much welcomed by their principals, by their peers in their 4 elementary schools. So I think it has gone well. So you asked about Weston specifically, and I took that a little bit more broadly. I think all of our 4th grade teachers would find that that's been a pretty good move. Our students aren't going to know anything different. They're staying in the schools they were at last year. They'll just retain that for 1 more year. Trying to take that physical move, that stressor away from our teachers was very important to us. Nate Day, our business manager, really took the lead on that and coordinating all those efforts to the point that all the physical move was really made in that month of June.
Awesome. And then I guess along those lines, just kind of one last thing that maybe parents should know, has transportation and logistics changed with the 4th grade, and how has that department been able to run efficiently with our changes?
It really has been very smooth on that portion as well. We did tweak some of our start times a little bit, really not specifically because 4th grade students were staying in the elementary school. It's as we were assessing what we were doing in transportation, we felt like we had some overlap of time where we were having to supervise students a little bit longer than we would like. Students were waiting a little bit longer to get on buses than we would like. So we tweaked a few of those start times, none of those by more than 10 minutes. I think a couple buildings it was 5 minutes. So that has helped us to be a little bit more efficient on that transportation front. Now, there is a reality right now. If you've driven through Greenfield around our schools, you know that there have been some road closures that have complicated things for us. Some of that has been on State Road 9. Some of that has been on Fortville Pike with that roundabout at 300 North. And then here in the last week and a half, we are responsible for the road closure here by our west property as we're moving utilities from the east side of the road of Franklin to the west side so that we can have the utilities there for the tennis courts, the outbuilding, and parking lots.
Yeah. So busy time of year, all seems to happen at once. That's usually how it goes.
It has this year anyway.
Yeah. So let's talk about our new police chief. Obviously, it had been a goal of the corporation to have our own police force just to increase safety. And obviously you need someone to lead that. So he was announced at our faculty, gathering on the first day of school, and he was kind of doing his job. You had to find him, and he came in and kind of waved quickly, and then went back to, his detail.
Doing his security detail.
Yeah, doing his security detail. But tell us about him, his background, now that he's been officially hired on our staff, and how you think he's going to serve in this new role.
Yeah, we officially hired Toby Deaton to be the Chief of Police for the Greenfield Central Police Department. Toby has served in a variety of law enforcement roles over the last 20-25 years. Most recently, he is a deputy with the Scott County Sheriff's Department. He's in the process of moving his family up here. He does have a son that will be attending school with us in the near future. But he has stepped right in, really doing a lot of work behind the scenes as we officially received our notification from the state that we can form our own police department. Thus, we hired our chief of police. We're in the process now of moving many of our school resource officers over to the Greenfield Central Police Department. Right now, we have a number of off-duty police officers, both through the Greenfield Police Department and the Hancock County Sheriff's Department, that are serving in those roles. We actually have a couple firemen who are serving in those roles as well. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us as we secure vehicles, equip the vehicles, as well as transferring people from their current departments over to us. So I wish I could say, well, you just snap your fingers and you make that happen. There is a process we have to go through working with the state to make that happen. And that's why it's nice to have somebody like Toby to help lead us through that. Now, from a student perspective or a parent perspective right now, I would hope they're seeing no difference versus what they would have experienced last year in May. We still have the same number of uniformed individuals among our 8 school sites. So it's really just more of a logistic transfer that we're doing as we move them onto our books officially.
Great. So is there anything that we should know as far as maybe a timetable for when you feel like everything will be solidified and in place? Obviously the day-to-day of securing our buildings goes on, but the things that you mentioned that we need from the state, additional equipment, vehicles, what's sort of your timeline for when you foresee that being solidified?
We've talked to Toby about that timeline, and we would love to have that all in place by the end of the calendar year. It just takes a little while for it to happen, but I go back to what I said 60 seconds ago. I would hope our students and our parents would see no difference in terms of the type of customer service response that we have.
Awesome. So obviously we're in a new school year. I'm trying to count how many years you've been superintendent. I know it's one less year than I've been a teacher. So is it your 13th year?
This is my 12th year as superintendent, my 26th year as a school administrator in Greenfield Central.
Yes. So you've been in this corporation a long time, and you've served us as superintendent a long time, and every year I know that you have goals, and despite the fact that we have so many students that are diverse, coming from different backgrounds, different ages, multiple schools, what do you think is your vision for where you want us to be this school year, and your goals for us as a corporation?
I shared some of this in our opening day meeting with all staff, and it's the first time I can remember in my tenure as superintendent where I said that we are really not changing the focus of our 4 primary goals for the school year. We're going to continue the work that we did last year, and I was happy to celebrate with our staff that the 24-25 school year that we just wrapped up was really one of the most successful years we've had as a school corporation. And a couple factors I'll point to. Our graduation rate, I believe, will be the second highest it's ever been. Our iRead passing rate, the highest it's ever been for our third grade students and our second grade students. But the number of championships that we had, a number of school records that we had here at the high school in particular, everything from the performing arts to our athletic teams to the bowling team, VEX robotics. I mean, we had many things to celebrate. So for me to come in and change those goals when I feel like we're really on a good path right now, we're not going to do that. We're still going to make a strong attempt in every classroom to move every child 1 year's growth in 1 year time. We're going to continue to work with our community on the community engagement side of things. We're going to work with our teachers on implementing high impact teaching strategies and making sure that our professional development is aligned to that. So I really see us continuing to move in that direction when I think about those four overarching goals that we have. Now, the one piece that I will share in addition to that is really from a structural standpoint. We talked about the fourth grade students being retained in the elementary schools. We are continuing to do some work on the organizational side of things. You know, we've spent almost 2 years in comprehensive study of how we make the most of our programming and how we find efficiencies in both our education fund and our operations fund. We're going to continue that work with our school board and community as we look at some of the things that we may do, as we've talked about the potential of moving our 2 intermediate schools into 1 school, as we continue to look at the programming things that we're doing for our students all across the spectrum, for our students who have high ability needs to our students who have some learning disabilities and challenges. We want to make sure we're meeting those needs with the staff that we have in an era where dollars are tighter than they've ever been from the federal government and the state government. So we're really having to take a look at, there's a reason why we're not just doing status quo. The circumstances are changing. We're recognizing that. We feel like we've got a pretty good idea of what our enrollment is going to be as we look into the future, and we're going to likely make some organizational changes into these next 2 years that we'll continue to have conversation with our staff and community about.
All right. Well, I guess wrapping up, is there anything that you would like to say to students and parents as we enter a new year, just words of encouragement?
Well, I think there's been no better time to be a Greenfield Central Cougar. It's an exciting time to be here when I think about the programs that we have in place, the teaching staff that we have in place, the administrative team, the support we have from our community, the successes that we're going to rebound off of. It's an exciting time to be here, and I'm certainly happy to be at the helm with Greenfield Central.
Absolutely. We're happy to have you leading us into another school year. We know it's going to be a great school year, so as always, stay tuned for more updates. This has been Greenfield Central Corporation Catch-Up. I'm Jonathan Hudson. Dr. Olin, thank you for your time.
Thank you.